Hello, small baby humans. It is I, the wise one, the beautiful one, the modest one. Not really. Okay, it is Thursday, April 8th, and this is in case you missed Psychology 2. And if you're watching that means you couldn't make it to class today, and that's okay. Hope you're well. Hope those around you are well. Hope you managed to dodge the morning raindrops, and hope we get zero more of them. Okay, so just like this woman who is apparently just disco roller skating when you think it's Friday, but it's only Thursday. I have that moment, I think, every Thursday morning where I'm like, oh my God, it's Friday. Oh, no, it's not Friday. You know when I realized it this morning? Garbage cans at the street. And I was like, oh, it's Thursday. So anyway, I'm going to run you through everything we did today and get you guys up to speed on all things, well, not all things motivation, but some motivation basics. So your reminders, first and foremost, we've got that assignment due on Monday, that 5 foolproof ways to stay motivated. People are doing a pretty good job on that. Again, I gave you guys some helpful hints and reminders about that assignment, like, I don't know, capital letters to start a sentence, periods at the end of sentences, or proper punctuation. Try not to start a sentence, an answer with a pronoun unless you're being asked an opinion-based question. Make sure you're answering all the parts of the question and give me examples and comparisons and things that help add depth to your answer so you're not sitting at a 2 or worse yet, a 1. Okay, so yesterday we discussed symbolism, like the meaning we attach to objects, ideas, things like that. We talked about street signs. We talked about style of dress. We talked about how we attach stories to people or labels to people. Heck, in a way, stereotypes are symbolism, and we'll get to stereotypes later in the semester. Today, what we're going to do, though, is we're going to look at some basics of motivation. We're going to talk about the chapter is really symbolism, motivation, and emotion. Symbolism is already knocked out. One slide done. All right, today we're going to look at motivation, which is going to be a majority of what we're going to look at in this chapter. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at what is motivation. We're going to talk about what motivates different age groups. We're going to look at how you guys compare to a nationally done study. We're going to talk about what are supposedly the prime directives of a human, and we're going to do a couple of quick key terms. We're going to actually ramble through quite a few slides today, but we're going to look at some of them pretty quickly. And then any time we have left at the end of class, you can use as work time to get that thing done and get it done right. Okay? All right. If you got any questions, remember, I'm always available here in the internet world or on the cell phone world via email, text, chat, video chat, all the ways. I respond back unless I'm sleeping. And when I wake up, I will message you. Because if you message me at 2 o'clock in the morning and wake me up, I'm going to wake you up at 4:30 in the morning when I get up. Ha. All right. Here we go. All right. So what is motivation? So what I did is I kind of, there's a little video clip here. I'm not going to bother showing that to you guys because it was kind of something we are going to get on a topic of in class. And so it's just a little video about Spartan racing, the obstacle course racing that I do. But by definition, I found a couple of good definitions and I couldn't decide which one I liked more. And so there you go. And I think they're really similar, obviously, in a lot of ways, but they use different words to get to the same point. So motivation is a force that moves people to behave, think, and feel the way that they do towards certain things. And so are you motivated to do well in school? Are you motivated to just get through the day? Are you motivated to be the best player on the football team? Are you motivated to just put on the uniform? Are you motivated to think that certain ideas are right while others are wrong? Flat Earth versus we live on a sphere, Democrat versus Republican. And you're also motivated to feel the way you do about people. Do you like this person? Do you not like that person? Okay. And another definition that I really liked is it's a process that initiates, guides, and maintains goal-oriented behaviors. I really like that one, and here's why. There's not much that a human or a dog or a cat does, and I could use pretty much sloth, that isn't a goal-oriented behavior. When we do things, we're usually moving toward a purpose. Even if that purpose is killing time, sitting on the couch watching Netflix while it rains outside, we're doing something, okay? Blinking, I got to keep my eyes clear of junk, things like that. And so motivation is really what do we do and how do we work towards the things that we want or we want to avoid, okay? And so when we're looking at this topic, one of the things I need you to keep going in the back of your mind with is, what are the things that motivate me? What are the things that motivate me? How do I feel about them? How do I get there? how did I come up with those ideas of the things that I want? Because we're going to be looking at those things, like what motivates you? What is that process that initiates, guides, and maintains your goal-based or goal-oriented behaviors towards good grades, scholarships, a great job, a career in the military, a retirement at a young age, a conference, a regional, a sectional, a state championship? Okay, what is it that keeps you moving forward, all right, towards the things that you want? Okay. And so on that vein, I was like, what motivates the average person? So I did like a Google search. I was like, what motivates the average person? And obviously some of the big things that popped up are money, the old golden dollar sign there, dollar bills, y'all. All right. A plus. In your case, one of the things that motivated students was good grades. That top middle picture, it's supposed to be friends, but I think some of you guys may take it another way, possibly. And then on the far right, you have happiness. Now, I'm sure that if I asked you guys, and I may have done this in class, to take out a piece of paper or on your computer, type down 3 major things that motivate you, they may have come back to these things somehow. Maybe not good grades, but maybe success in something that you do, being the best at your job, being well liked. Okay, so we're looking at some different categories here. And so think a little bit about what motivates you. What are those big ideas? I'm not talking about small things like, fresh breath, although that is important. Okay, I'm talking like those big goal behaviors that you have. What is your end game? How do you want people to remember you at this high school, in the next step of your life, when you're gone? Okay, what are the things that you're motivated to do well at? Okay, so get some of those stuck in the old brain matter. All right, and now what we're going to do is we're going to look at a slide that shows you on national averages what different age groups had to say. So I looked up a number of different studies on this one, and there was an Ivy League study done. I think it was Harvard or Yale or Princeton or one of those, like, you got to have a big brain kind of places to go there. And they surveyed a bunch of people at different age groups and tried to break down into big categories what were things that motivated them. So they didn't ask kids, it wasn't like toys or cartoons or McNuggets, and seniors, it wasn't like 18 holes of golf. Sorry to stereotype people. And what they did is they kind of broke things into like, what's the core of this? Okay. And what they found is in kids that were old enough to understand the questions that they were being asked to 12, the things that motivated them were happiness, living a happy life, having the things they wanted, having a good time, having fun, being around friends, jumping on the trampoline, whatever brings you joy when you're small. Approval. Now, the interesting thing about that one is that approval, when it's little kids, if you ask them whose approval they want the approval of their family, they want the approval of their teachers, they want the approval of the adults in their neighborhood. It's almost all the approval of people that are in the older age category from them. So they're trying to be, I'm going to use the term, people pleasers. And then children are motivated by keeping themselves safe and keeping the people around them safe. Being healthy, being in a place where they're warm and they have food and they feel like people aren't going to hurt them. Okay, so think about kids 0 to 12, or I don't know, probably like 3 to 12. We're given that. Then we move up to your age grouping, the 13 to 18 to 20, I think is what they did in this study. And teens, number one, are looking for approval. Interestingly enough, though, in the study, the Ivy League study, when they were asked more specifically the approval of whom, they said the approval of friends. Friends came first, overwhelmingly friends. Then it was other adults. Then it was family adults. They actually came like last in the study, which I thought was really interesting. The second thing that motivates teens is achievement. They want to do well at something. Now, it was split in this study. It's school, sports, work, being recognized for doing something well. It turns out nobody really wants to be horribly average. No one really wants to be completely invisible. We all want to be good at something. At least most people, according to the study, wanted to be good at something, even if it was being like, I don't know, the best Call of Duty player in their group of friends. Whatever. I just made up a rando. Teens are also concerned about money. having enough to be able to do the things that they wanted to do. Obviously, the demands on teens' money is different from person to person and family to family. Is that being able to pay for your own cell phone bill? Is that car insurance and gas? Is that having enough money to go out to dinner with a significant other or friends and then go to a movie? All right, being able to pay for college. All right, but having enough money to be able to basically do the things that they wanted to do. More wants than needs in most cases when they did that study. Now, if we jump ahead, okay, so now we go into the biggest age category. They did adults, which were, I think they did 21 to like 60 or something in the study, if I remember correctly. The number one thing that motivates a lot of adults is money. Money to be able to afford the basic things they need. Now, that's a difference between teens. Money is on both lists, but it's need versus want, okay? Adults are worried about being able to pay the bills, get a house, make sure their car stays working, things like those. And so, obviously, job requirements and things like that are very high on the list. Adults are also motivated by achievement. Now, when you look at that, the difference here is it's a lot of job achievement, being recognized for being good in the field in which they work. And then last but not least, relationships. Those of family, those of friends, those with their parents, obviously came in high on the list. Then we look at the last group, senior citizens. They said 60 and above in this study. They're worried about their safety again, their own personal health, feeling secure, having enough people around them that will help take care of them if something goes wrong. Okay, living in a safe environment where they're less prone to have accidents and have the medical care they need. They're also worried about happiness. They listed things like being able to spend time with people in their family that were younger than them, being able to be around friends, to be able to retire and enjoy doing the things that they love to do. And last but not least, money. They wanted to have money to leave behind. They wanted to have enough money to cover medical costs. They wanted to have enough money to travel. Now, I want to point something out about this if you haven't already seen it. Look at these lists. The children list and the senior citizen list is not that different, okay? It's really not that different when you look at how they answer the specific answers. But look at this. It's almost the same list. It's almost the same. Can you think of any two groups of people that can sometimes be any more different than these two? And there we are. Now, to take this a step further, I wanted to see how you guys compared to a national study. So Stanford University, which is one of it's the top university when it comes to psychology in the country. If you get accepted into Stanford's like master's program or a PhD program for psych, you did something right, okay? Stanford ran a study in 2010, so it's a little dated, where they asked about 5,000 high school students, 100 questions dealing with motivations. What was important to them? What did they see as more motivating one thing over the other? Kind of almost like would you rather type questions, but not like, would you rather have bricks for feet or sausages for fingers? Kind of the dumb stuff I ask. All right. They wanted to gauge like possible future prospects, possible future students at their school, what they found important. Now, they didn't just target like high achieving students who got like, above a 25 or 30, well, in Stanford's case, above 30 on the ACT. They targeted just a general population of kids from all around the country. And they had them fill out these questions about these 100 things. It was an online survey that they did. It was click this button, basically probably like an early Google form. And what I wanted to do is I asked you guys 10 of these questions, and I wanted to see how you guys compared to the Stanford kids. Okay, so here we go. All right, so one of the first questions I asked you was, I see myself staying in Wisconsin for the rest of my life, or most of my life. They said, I see myself staying in my home state for most of my life. You guys, about 64% of you said you see yourself staying in Wisconsin long term, and about 36% of you said that you see yourself leaving, going someplace else. In the Stanford study, it was almost exactly the opposite. It was 70% saw themselves going to another state and 30% saw themselves staying long term. So you guys are different than the national average there. I would rather. This one was interesting. I was interested in how you answered this one. I would rather have the worst house in a great neighborhood or the best house in a bad neighborhood. You guys overwhelmingly said you'd rather have the worst house in a nice neighborhood. When talking to some people, they said, oh, you'd be safe. You're in a nice neighborhood, no worry about crime or whatever. And, the worst house in a bad neighborhood is still probably pretty nice. The study was almost exactly the opposite. They said they'd rather have the best house in a bad neighborhood. Now, what does that say? Is that a status thing? Is that like a, look, mine's better than yours? It's hard to say, but you guys flipped the script on that one, okay? If I had to choose, I would rather impress my family and friends. Again, you guys went way against the national average on this one. You guys said 64% of you would rather impress your family, and 36% of you guys said you'd rather impress your friends. In this study, it was 80%, 20% the other way around. People nationally in the study were more worried about impressing their friends overwhelmingly, okay? All right. When it comes to class, and this was about grades, you guys came out pretty much the national average. It came out to be about 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, which is about where you guys were. People ask me if I was disappointed that they were more worried about their grade than learning, or that they only cared about passing. I'm like, no, man, everybody's got their own agenda when it comes to school. Obviously, I think this was the one that you guys were like the most dead on. It obviously had 3 choices, so it split the vote up a little bit more, but it was interesting just the same. Okay. I would rather be my own boss or work for someone else. Again, you guys are almost perfectly what the study said. You guys would rather be your own boss, which is funny because some of you guys are not the most self-motivated people in the world, if you ask me, but that's okay. That's okay. You'll grow into it. All right. A few more. I would rather be the most popular person at school or be the smartest person at school. Interestingly enough, 64% of you guys said you'd rather be the smartest person here, and 36% of you said you'd rather be the most popular. It was almost the exact opposite in the study. It was 65%, 35%. I want to be the most popular kid in school. So interesting that you guys went that route. I think that says a lot about the people that are in this class too, though, because if you look at the overall makeup of this class, we've got a lot of really intelligent, especially social studies students in this room. Okay. Okay. This one was interesting. Would you rather be more excited about getting $1 per hour raise at a job or getting a 4 in a class? They said getting an A in a class because 4s didn't exist in 2010, I don't think. The study came up almost 50-50. You guys were 82% of you would rather get $1 an hour raise. I don't know. Again, you guys are good students, so you get a lot of 4s to begin with. So maybe you're like, oh, I expect to get a 4 in a class. It's not as exciting as $1 an hour raise. I'm interested. I'd be interested to see, like in class, we'll probably talk about this one a little bit, like why that was that way. When it comes to choosing a future job, money is more important than job enjoyment. That was 32% of you. And job enjoyment isn't more important than money. That was 68% of you. Good. All right. If you work a job you like, you'll never work a day in your life. That's the saying. The study was closer to 50-50. People were obviously a little bit more worried about the monetary part of life in this study. Last two. When it comes to my own health and fitness, I'm very motivated to be fit is about 45, 46%. My motivation about fitness comes and goes. I was about half of you guys. That's okay. And I think there was one of you, or about 4.5%, who said, I don't worry much about my fitness. That's interesting. In the national study of 5,000 students, 75% said that their interest comes and goes. Okay, so I also view this group of people as a very athletic group of people. There's a lot of people in this class that are athletes or multiple sport athletes, and there's also a lot of people who aren't athletes who I think take really good care of themselves in this class. And so I'm not surprised that 50% of you said it was, or 45% of you said you were motivated by it. I was kind of surprised that in the national study it was that high. All right, last but not least, I would rather be on a winning team and not play much or be the best player on a bad team. You guys surprised me here, okay? Interestingly enough, in the study, 90% of students said they'd rather be on a winning team and not play much. You guys went the opposite. Now, not as strong a percentage, but about 55% of you said you would rather be the best player on a bad team. I wonder if that's because you've been on good teams most of your life, and now you would be willing to trade the dubs for stardom. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. All right, last two slides. Ultimately, humans, we're goal-oriented creatures. All right. We work towards things we want. We work to stay away from things we don't want. And our prime directives are seek pleasure and avoid pain. Okay. We want things that make us happy. We want to avoid things that hurt. Now, obviously, you're sitting there right now going, but I want a tattoo and I've heard that hurts, or I got this pierced and I like it, but that hurt. All right. that's because you can override these things for the things you want. And there are some people like, wait a minute, Seep, hang on a second. We're not going down that road in a school-approved YouTube video. No, okay? Your secondary directive is like survival of the species. Not only keeping yourself around, keeping someone else around, but also procreating in some cases. Although generationally, the numbers are dropping as far as people that feel like they need to have kids. All right. The thing about motivation is, though, obviously our body is limited. It doesn't allow us to do everything we want to do. I'm never going to fly. I'm never going to run a 4-minute mile. I'm never going to dunk a basketball in a regulation hoop ever again. Okay. And that's because physical factors limit motivation, injuries, age, the capabilities of a human body versus those of a hawk. Okay. If we took the most athletic one of you and we put you up on the roof in here and said, fly, you're not going to do it. You're going to gravitationally move towards the ground at negative 9.81 meters per second squared, I believe is the number. You're going to smack. All right. And not in that good way. All right. Sammy Bradley. Anyway, so physical factors can limit that. There's also physical factors on days like you didn't get enough sleep. You're feeling a little sick. You got a terrible cough. D looks at you and says, we're running the pacer today. And you're like, I'm not feeling it today. But on a good day, I could get to 100. But today, 50 is going to do. All right. Your body will fight to stay in a state that's called homeostasis. Now, if you look at the first part of that word is home. All right. That's your body when it's a good natural balance. All right. Your heart rate is right. Your blood pressure is right. Your breathing, your breaths per minute is right. Your body temperature is right. And so it will do things to stay there. If you get too cold, it shivers to keep you warm. If you get too warm, it sweats to keep you where you need to be. And so if you go out today, I don't know, let's say you're in a Phi Ed class and it's daily you ran the mile. You got to run the mile. In order to get an A in the class, you got to run a mile in 5 minutes. And you're like, or 4. I need a 4 in Phi Ed. I need a 4 in individual, team, advanced fitness, whatever it is. I'm going to hit that. And you run that first mile. You're off, man. You're like a cannon. Not cannon, but you're like a cannon, okay? Shot out of A. And your body can't keep that pace. Your body will start to do things like cramp or make you breathe too heavily to try to get oxygen in your body. And it will be like, wah, wah, wah. We are leaving homeostasis. Please return to the building. All right. And so your body has limits, just regardless of what you want to do. All right. There are things in my obstacle course races that I want to do that I've never been able to do or can only do sporadically. I have issues climbing the rope. I'm going to be really honest. We had that in Phi Ed class and I've never consistently been able to do it. Sometimes I can do it. And sometimes my arms are shot by the time I get to that obstacle and I can't pull the way I need to be able to pull to do it. Okay. And so moving forward, the last 2 things we're going to do today, sorry, this one got a little bit long, is some critical terminology for this is drive. Okay. Your drive are the forces that push you to reach a goal, like the steps you take along the way. So I want to lose 30 pounds. All right. Great goal. Okay. Short-term goal, long-term goal, who knows? I'm talking about myself, not you. God, most of you guys can't afford to lose 30 pounds. I want to lose 30 pounds. Well, what am I going to do along the way? I get up at 4:30 every morning and I come and I ride the exercise bike for half an hour. I eat salad for lunch. I avoid carbs as much as I can. I try not to drink soda. I lift weights after school. And when it's nice out, I go for a nightly run 5 nights a week, right? Those things are all drives pushing me towards my goal, towards your goal. You want to get a college scholarship in a sport, all the practice that you put in is a drive. You want to get an academic scholarship, all the moments that you study, time taking the ACT, those are all part of drives. Now, seldom is drive a straight line, okay? A lot of times drives look like this, okay? The path to a goal is very often not a straight line, which leads us to goals. Goals are the objects, ideas, or things that we strive towards. All right, goals are different than objectives. Objectives are things that we click off along the way. I lost 10 pounds, I lost 15 pounds, I lost 20 pounds. But ultimately, the goal is 30. That's where we're going to get to. Now, obviously, goals can be short-term or they can be long-term, and they don't always have nice, orderly timelines. I'm going to lose 30 pounds by September. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Maybe I have to extend that day out. Maybe I hurt my leg and I can't run as much, okay? Regardless, there's some stuff about motivation. Tomorrow we're going to talk about survival motivation to end the week. If you got any time left for me, please feel free to work on the assignment, 5 ways to stay motivated, 5 bulletproof ways to stay motivated. Have a great day, guys.